Today I want to say a huge word of thanks to my good friend Simon from down there in Australia. Turns out there's a little tip button down here, you know. And Simon was good enough to leave a tip today. You won't believe how much. I'll just say it. It's 100 Australian dollars. It's a phenomenal amount. Thank you, Simon. You are officially an executive producer of this video. Anyway, thanks once again for being here. And if you enjoy this video, just let me know that you're alive. Won't you leave a thumbs up, a comment, something like that? I don't even care about the algo. I just want to know that you're alive. It means a lot to me. Alright, now if you're coming in cold, I have some starter code for you. It's on GitHub. I'll leave a link in the description. All of that being said, on with the video. Let's code. In the last video, we built our login system here that lets members log in, and then it takes them to this members area here. Of course, one of the challenges is that the members area is completely wide open. So we're going to be fixing that now. And the very first thing I want you to do just before we start is open up config. And I'd like you to change this env from dev to live. Let me show you why before I save this. If I go to Trongate pages /manage, look at this. I'm straight into the admin panel and I never even had to log in. That's because we've got env on dev by default. So to have this behave more like a real website, let's just change this to live, at least for now, okay? So do that and save. And if you are logged in to the admin panel, then go to the top right hand side, click this, and you'll now be logged out. So even if I now go to Trongate pages /manage, you'll see that it will not let me in. That's because this is now on live, okay? Alright. Now I think that it's probably worth taking just a moment to show you how that admin panel works. This one that comes with the framework. So let's open modules, Trongate pages, and it's the Trongate pages controller file. Now if you go to manage, you'll see that right at the top here, we are calling a method called makeSureAllowed. Now if we look at makeSureAllowed, actually it gets called a few different places here, but basically what this does is it's calling Trongate security, and from Trongate security it's calling, and there's a lot of makeSureAlloweds here, but from Trongate security it's calling a method called makeSureAllowed, and inside Trongate security you'll see this makeSureAllowed thing here with the option of passing in a scenario. The word scenario just means a situation. Now by default, this is going to assume that you mean admin panel. Remember the Trongate pages thing, this thing here? So if you call makeSureAllowed, it's going to assume that you're meaning, let's see if the person's allowed to access the admin panel here. However, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a makeSureAllowed feature, but for the members area. Now, when I made this framework, I predicted that this is something that people would be doing quite a lot. So I've added some code in here, but I've commented it out. Now, let's uncomment this just so you can save a little bit of time. And you can see how this works. Here, if we call makeSureAllowed and we pass in a scenario, again, think the word situation, and if we have a scenario called members area, then it's going to load up the members module, and from there it's going to call makeSureAllowed. Now, let's go and open up the members module here, and anywhere that makes you feel good, let's build a little method called makeSureAllowed. Now, in plain English, let's write down what this is going to do. We're going to make sure the user is logged in as a member. Okay? So, how do we do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to echo hello. and a little die statement. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Now, when we go to this index method, remember, this is referring to the members homepage here. We want to load up a module. It's actually going to be Trongate Security. And on Trongate Security, we want to call, or invoke rather, underscore make sure allowed. And we're going to pass in a scenario of members area. So let's save this, right? And then if we refresh, you'll see that the page says hello. So that's because this has now been invoked. It has intercepted the request. And there you go. Now, before we get too caught up with this, let's just comment this out for the moment. So there's our page. And I would like there to be a really clear distinction between the members area and the rest of the website. So how about if we build a little custom template? I'm going to go into templates. That's templates.php. I'll copy this public one here. Except instead of calling this public, I'll call it members underscore area. Okay. And I'm going to make up a file inside this views folder of templates. It's going to be called membersarea.php. And we'll have a little HTML page. And let's just introduce the Trongate CSS style sheet, like so. So base URL CSS trongate.css. For the page title, I'm going to say members area. And let's do perhaps a little container. And we're going to, in short code, we're going to load up template with a capital T, : display, and we're going to pass in an argument of data. So that's going to display our content dynamically. And by the way, let's do a little bit of styling here. We'll say that the body has got a background color of silver, just so that this stands out, okay? So if we save this and refresh, now hold on a second, we're going to go to members. Instead of saying public, we'll say members area. There you go. In fact, let's also make it so that the font color is black. Okay, so there's our members area. It's really clear, okay? So here's the public, and here is the members area. Now, to go back to this make sure allowed thing, we want to make sure that the user is logged in as a member. Now, the way that we're going to do that is we're going to load up a module. It's going to be Trongate tokens. And we're going to say that the token is Trongate tokens, and it's going to be underscore attempt get valid token. And we're going to pass in 2. Now, if I just quickly show you this, Trongate tokens, we have a thing called attempt get valid token. You can leave this empty and it will attempt to get any valid token. But because we've passed in a number 2, it means that it's going to attempt to get a token that belongs to a member. That's why we said 2. Okay? So, here we are saying attempt get a valid token for 2. And if you want to allow multiple members, you can pass in an array of allowed user levels. But 2 is fine for us. Now, if we var dump token, a little die statement, check this out. Okay, we have false. So by default, you've not got a token, you're all out of luck. But if we log in, let's do this by going to member login. I'm going to log in. And look at this. Now we have a string. And it's 32 characters in length. So, not too bad, right? So what we can now say is, if the token is equivalent to false, now that's what happens if they're not logged in as a member. Well, if that's the case, we're going to redirect them to members login, no problem. But if they are logged in as a member, then we're going to just return the token, and that's that. And who knows, maybe they'll use the token and pass it into the code, and they'll use it for JavaScript or who knows what. But that's basically how this is going to work. So if we look at this index thing here, I'm going to save and refresh. You can see that we have accessed the members area. Now, by the way, we could say token is this, and we can echo the token just to prove that we do have this coming back. Although I'm not going to be doing that in this example. What I would like to do is build a logout feature. So let's go into members views. It's members home. We're going to have a little paragraph with a link that goes to members logout. I'm going to say log out, and I'll have an array with a class that is called button. Okay, there we go. So you can see that we've now got this button here. Now, if we click this, it's going to members /logout. So let's go back into members. We're going to say function logout. I'm going to load up Trongate tokens, and inside Trongate tokens, and don't be scared to look at this code, you'll see that there's a method called _destroy, and that's going to destroy tokens from session and cookie storage. So we're simply going to say this, Trongate tokens calling upon _destroy, and then we're going to redirect to members /login and save it. So check it out. Oh, typo. There we go. Okay, so let's just test this. If we log in like so, it takes us to the private members area. Okay, everything is fine. If we log out and then try and go back into the private members area, it's absolutely not letting us in. Pretty cool, right? So once again, we can log in. We have access. Log out, we don't have access. Now, one other thing, that's authorization. There is an issue of authentication, which is who are you? And there's a variety of different ways that you can do that. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to quickly load up the Trongate desktop app just before we finish up. I just want to visually show you how this all works. So let's load up the Trongate desktop app. And super fast, I'm going to modify existing app. Here it is. I'm going to open up the query builder. And it's nice to just visually see what's happening here. So we have members. We have Trongate users. Now we've got a Trongate user ID that connects like this. Okay. And of course we've got Trongate user levels. So that would connect like this. And finally, we've got our Trongate tokens table, which would go like this. So the Trongate user ID linking like so. Maybe I can move these around a little bit. Okay, but there's a sort of visual representation of how these work together. It's just ordinary database tables. With that being the case, just to give you a super quick idea, you could say something like the following. You could say token is this, and then if you look at Trongate tokens, for example, you'll see that we've got fetch token object here. So we could say, for example, token object is this, Trongate tokens, fetch token object, pass in the token, and I'm going to just say JSON token object, actually comma true. And so now it's showing us the full record. It's very easy from here to figure out who the user is. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'll take these two lines out. I hope that this makes sense. We'll just log out again, and as you can see, it's completely safe. Everything is fine. Alright, well, congratulations, you made it to the end, and thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy this type of content and you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, please leave a thumbs up, and above all, please do leave a comment, good or bad. Let me know that you're alive. It would really mean a lot to me. So, that'll do us for this one. Join me next time, where I think we're going to have a new series, perhaps covering how to make a secure API. Trongate has what I think is the best API manager in all of PHP. I am biased, of course, but I hope that I can get a chance to teach you that soon. In the meantime, stay cool and keep on coding.